Morning, everybody. It is Cowboy, and it looks like Bitcoin is doing pretty well here. It's the 14th of January. I'm looking at a double bottom. You can see this little double bottom here. In fact, if I go to a higher time frame, then you're going to see it a little bit more evidently here. So let's delete these arrows real quick. I'm going to move over to... Let's see, we're in the 3. Okay, go to the 3 hour, be a little bit more evident. We'll go back down to the 30 minutes just to take a look at it. But we talked about this just yesterday, and this support here at about 91,000 seems to be holding. We had that market making bit of action that was right here that I talked about on Sunday, right here. And then if I go actually to the daily, I think that double bottom is going to appear a bit more evident. Yep. So how do I define this double bottom? Right? You have price action creating kind of a U shape. A U is ideal. It's never going to be exactly a U, but you have price kind of coming down here, and then it comes up here, creates a U. This one has that high move up here, but otherwise it's basically a U. Comes back down, and it creates this kind of these wicks right here, right? So this is the double bottom from last month, right? This is on the daily chart. And you see here that you have this wick on the bottom here. If I could find my arrows, it's weird. Let's use this one here. So there's this wick right there and a wick right here. Now that's a double bottom going back to the 30th of December and ending on the 9th of January. That's that double bottom. But we have another one to look at, right? That's more recent. And it's not as clean. But if we look at this older one, right, that I just drew, we can actually use some boxes here. And we're going to, on this first wick right here, I'm going to draw a box that comes to the very top of where that wick meets the body. And then you can see that it pushed back out. And then the next bottom right here, the second part of that double bottom, you'll notice that the candle body does not close below the bottom of that box. That's how I define a double bottom. And those tend to come up powerfully. Well, in this case, we actually may have seen a triple bottom because we saw another U shape right here. And I might have to head down to a 3 hour to make this a little more evident, but you see it right here. And then this wick really came down hard and then pushed back up very hard. Now price seems to be catapulting up. So if I head down to a 3 hour to make this a little more easy to see, you can see it right here. This U shape, price comes down, and it really catapults up hard. Now, this is following that discussion around market making, right? That bit of price action that looked a bit unnatural to me. And I remember talking about it on the Sunday weekly video right here. Give me a second. We got V the Guerilla in the house. V, how are you, sir?
Greetings and good mornings.
Good mornings. We're talking about double bottoms. We're talking about Bitcoin holding at the level that it's at. And I know a lot of people were scared. Of course, I always maintain the price can go down, and it may very well still. But for the moment, we're looking at some price action that seems to me to show that powerful people are holding price up above 91,000 deliberately. Right?
Yes.
So this is what we're seeing here in this bit of price action. Again, if you look at that Sunday video, I talked about this at the time. This bit of price action right here is very unnatural. It looks to me like market making. Now, I have seen market making happen like as I know it was happening because I saw people who were actually doing it, and I knew they were doing it because they told me they were doing it. And this is exactly what it looks like. Most of the time, price is going to have an ebb and flow to the upside or to the downside. You're going to have little pullbacks. Even though it's mostly going down, you got these pullbacks to the top side, and they just keep ebbing and flowing, but still heading down ultimately. Well, in this case, you didn't see that on the way up here, right? You just saw price being crammed up, not even allowed to pull back to the downside. And that reeks of powerful people holding price up. And we see it all the time with the SP 500. I mean, this is not like a big problem, a big secret. I don't know that it's entirely legal. I think it probably is.
Powerful wash trading, holding the price up before it brings it back down again.
Yeah. But in this
That's
case,
what's happening.
it came back down, and that this was back on Thursday. So I pointed it out on Sunday, and now we see price actually being, it looks like, held up again. Now on a higher time frame, if I saw this candle right here, this bad boy right there, that green candle with that long tail, that kind of longer body, usually that signals that there's going to be a move up on Bitcoin, because that right there is a, it's a whale battle or manipulation or both. It's a shakeout candle. It could be a lot of things, but most of the time candles don't look like that with this kind of long wick and that weird long body. I mean, they happen. It can happen naturally, but at the end of all of this, with this market making, this all looks to me like somebody is holding the price up above 91,000 deliberately. Now, like I said on Sunday, it doesn't mean the price is going to continue up, right? Not after a certain point. It could be the price is being held up so that people can get out of positions for which they're underwater. So it doesn't mean that it's bullish, but for the long term, but it seems as if it is bullish for the short term, because price is now sitting at 96,500. And that's a pretty healthy price for Bitcoin in its current iteration. And you'll notice that it's pretty much right where I said it would be on Sunday's forecast. I didn't draw arrows this time, but these boxes are where I expected Bitcoin to go up until today or tomorrow. Now, all of the predictions, again, if you watched that video, you'll remember that, any predictions made on Sunday are kind of, how do I say this? Subject to change because we have CPI coming out. PPI may have already come out. Let's take a quick look at the economic data. See, today's the 14th. Okay. Actually, it's CPI today and then PPI on Wednesday. No, that's a lie. Let me see, Tuesday, PPI, CPI. Okay, yeah, PPI today, and it's already happened. It happened 7 minutes ago. Looks like it was a little cool in this case. Now, I actually did a history between CPI and PPI, and I did if I wanted to see if there's any correlation, because they come out one before the other. Sometimes CPI first, sometimes PPI first, and they're related metrics. They're inflation metrics. PPI is producer inflation, so it's the cost of producing items and whether or not that cost is growing. And then CPI is consumer price inflation. Now, CPI is the one that they're looking at for, are we going to hike or cut rates or not with the Fed? And that comes out tomorrow at 5:30. And if either of these metrics, PPI or CPI, is extremely different to the forecast, then you're going to see markets move quite wildly. Well, in this case, they're both a little cool for PPI. Like I said, I did a historical going back to 2018 of all the CPI and PPI data. I was unable to find a correlation that had any significant, just let's use the term significant figures. I couldn't determine if, in fact, like a hot CPI, a hot PPI is going to mean a cool CPI. There was no way to say, oh, well, one is related to the other. And we all know these data are, to a certain point, fudged. Maybe a tiny bit fudged, maybe a lot fudged. We'll never know. Why? Because the Bureau of Labor Statistics and the other entities that put these numbers together don't share their data with us. Apparently, our masters at the government are not going to allow us to know how they cook up these numbers, because then we'd be able to tell what the real story is. So we get to just go on Trust Me Bro as their source, and that's just the world that we live in, and that's fine. I'm going to talk trash, but I'm not going to complain about it. I'm going to make money based on it. So let's go ahead and take a look at the charts, and probably the most evident way to see how this is affecting things is going to be in the Forex chart. And we got a minute or two left, so I'm going to roll down to the euro versus the dollar. Now, this is an extremely accurate prediction. I need to take a little bit of a victory lap on this. I did this on Sunday. It went down a little deeper than I thought, but then again, if you look here, this was my target from 2 weeks ago, right dead nuts on. You see this little area right here where that wick is? 2 weeks ago, I said it would head down to there, and lo and behold, it is headed down to there. I mean, exactly where I said it would go. Okay. So now that that's happened, I also said that price was probably going to bounce up, and I do have a contingency here. I didn't know that it would go this high, but I thought it might. So I drew that dotted line, and that's exactly where it went. All right. So I'm literally predicting the future before your very eyes. The evidence is on YouTube, and it's undeniable, and this is amazing. But you know what? It's not that big of a deal. It really isn't. It's actually not that hard to do. It's simple. It's just not that easy. And what's the difference between simple and easy? It's because you got to do homework. But the homework is well within your capabilities. I've taught people of all skill levels how to do this. Now, we did have a trader come in recently who is we'll say many years trader. He's been trading for several years. He has his own method, but he was not profitable. And he came with us. He was with us for 4 months. And I get this email from him. He's like, hey, I got to leave Algo Factory. I'm like, oh, is everything okay? He says, it's great. I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, you fixed it. You fixed my method. He says, I came in, I traded with you for 4 months. I was able to clean up what I was doing, and now I'm profitable again. I said, well, that's awesome. Tell your friends. So what we're doing here is good whether you're a beginner or whether you're experienced. And I'm literally predicting the future here. You're seeing it happen at a pretty accurate rate. Not always right, but I'm often and usually right. And I always win more than I lose. So, well, not always, but on the average, certainly. So come to algofactory.tech. Check us out via the Guerilla. It's time for us to go over to the private live lab. Would you mind getting us over there, sir?
Yeah, absolutely, guys. Listen, don't sit on the sidelines wondering if this is for you. Join us. The only trading room that not only teaches you how to trade, but teaches you how to build the very algorithms that will trade on your behalf 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And with that being said, also the only one that will give you the geopolitical, the macroeconomical, and the micro, telling you where the world market is going and how to profit from it. We're the only ones in the world that do that. So join us right in the private room for less than the price of a bottle of water per day. For less than the price of a bottle of water per day. AlgoFactory.tech.
Join us or die.